another episode of My Wife's Asleep. He returns, the hilarious Brendan Mahany. We had such a blast last week. He decided to come back before we hit the mics tonight. Well, welcome back, Brendan.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
We were talking, so we did the episode last week, and I love that episode. We laughed like pirates. And he was telling me his experience and story about how he got on Kill Tony. And I was like, hold on, what are you doing next week? Like, we got to put this on the podcast because this is fucking hilarious with like the mushrooms and all the fucking. I'll let you tell the story. So you've been on it twice.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
first one you told me was episode 559 with Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that was the first time I was pulled from the bucket, and it was the last bucket pull of the night, and he was looking for a female. So it was like, we're not going to hear from Tom, we're not going to hear from Joey, we're not going to hear from Brendan, and I was like, yeah, yeah, and everyone's like, and for a second I was like, damn it, pull out the ponytail, like, I feel like a woman. You can't argue my pronouns, but no, I'm glad I didn't. Like later that night, that was the night I realized like I really have to work harder before I get on Kill Tony. And it was like a great little wake up call because I went back to the hotel room. I got way too drunk. I turned into like an autistic lurker. I was trying to like tell Gary Clark Jr. like that I'm a huge fan and like be cool. And I was not that at all. I'm staring at across the bar like, a private pile. Just like, hey, Gary, I think you're cool.
I love your shit.
You're great. And he's like, yeah, that's great, man. You're a fan? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, cool, man. Thanks for coming out. He was so cool.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm like, instantly recall. I'm like, oh, I'm such an asshole. I have to. And then the rest of the night was like trying to like, hey, I'm really sorry about earlier. That's not. He's like, dude, it's really cool. It's not, I mean, that's not really me. I mean, it was me. It was like 5 minutes ago, me. But
I've overanalyzed it for the past 5 minutes. I feel like a piece of shit.
It was so horrible. It was just like, and
happened to me on Saturday with Deer Tick. I'll tell you that later.
So yeah, and I learned a lot. I learned like, hey man, just be cool, enjoy the experience, be present in the moment, and don't be creepy. Tips to live by, kids. That was the night. I was down there on a 2-week visit to see what Austin was like, check the scene, and put my name in the bucket. And first week, no luck. Second week, got pulled looking for a female. And at that point, it was at Vulcan Gas Company. And so I was like, you're sitting in the front of the bar, so you get to watch the show for free.
That's awesome.
And it's like, plus when you get called on, it's like, you got callbacks. Like, the recurring jokes throughout the show or whatever, like you're up on everything. I just thought like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I can do this if nothing else. Like if I have just this one thing every Monday, like that would be way better than my life now. So I'm moving, and this was my sign. And then so I did that at the end of my lease, and then I signed up for the next 11 months and 3 weeks.
That's dedication, dude. That's crazy. That's like you essentially signed a lease at that place. Like, hey, just give me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my ass has probably spent more time on the corner of 6th Street just sitting there waiting. Like, yeah, it's I don't even want to think. I don't want to even do the numbers on that. That'd be ridiculous. But yeah, every Monday, sign up for the motherships at 5:30, and then sign up for Kill Tony starts at 6:30. And then you're there. I am there because, I mean, every week we see people going off to sign up for other mics and stuff and miss their poll. And
that's what you were saying when I was breaking down. Like, you don't want to miss your poll. Like, you've been there when people have been at another mic or something and their name gets pulled. And it's just like, fuck, why did you go? Like, it's just dedicate this one Monday. It's Monday, one day out of the week. Miss the mics. You're here for a reason. Like, that's gotta suck. How do the people feel afterwards? I mean,
well, I mean,
pissed probably.
I mean, public service announcement. I'm just gonna put this out there. There's become a new rule now. Like, if you're gonna get blacklisted. Like, if you miss your spot, like, And the thing is they really do everything. Like Colt is already running back and forth from behind the mothership over to Poor Choices, and then he's running.
This
up.
is like a real inside look, people. Sorry to cut you off, but like you're fucking doing it. Everyone's like, oh, I wonder what it's like. Like this is what it's like, America.
Like there's 200 comedians, everybody's screaming their name, like people are looking up and down the street. Everybody's like trying to Instagram call him, like, hey, Colt's looking for you, Colt's looking for you. And it's like, so now it's like he runs over, he calls a name, you've got 10 seconds, and then he runs back, and you've missed your chance and possibly got yourself blacklisted.
That's wild.
Because, and I mean, Colt's literally.
I was taking a piss.
Well, and that, like, that's different. Like, you know, people, like, you know, they at least do look out for each other. Like, and they'll tell, like, oh, no, he's in the bathroom.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
That's cool. But it's like when you're just not on premises.
Yeah.
And Shakespeare's is on the other side of the mothership. Their sign-ups start at 9. Maggie Mae's directly across the mothership. Sign-up starts at like 7:30 to 9. They kind of come down and hit you up in the waiting area. And then the Creek's got sign-ups at 9.
Creek in the Cave, yep.
So everybody around like 8:30 thing, like the show, the first bucket pull of the night is generally about like 8:30. And that's about the time people kind of are getting a little squirrely, like trying to sign up for other stuff. And, or literally at another mic, a couple bars down the street, and they tell their friends, like, hey, I'll be right back.
It's not how it works. That's not how it works. You put your name in a bucket, it's a fucking random. Oh, that would suck.
Yeah. And then also it's like, for me, like as someone who like sat there like every Monday, it was just like it would blow my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and you know, my philosophy on Kill Tony is kind of like everything in life. Like, you know, if you wait till you're ready, you're never gonna be ready. So you might as well just go ahead and get your bomb out of the way, and then get yourself a little comeback story arc. You know, and just get your feet wet, get on there, see how it is, get in that room for the first time, because most people at our level are not performing on the Fat Man stage, you know. And
yeah, I mean, the setting, not to cut you off, the setting definitely makes a difference. I mean, when I did Aura for round 1 of New England's Funniest, like I was joking with you, like, oh, dude, I shared the stage with Bowling for Soup. They're coming in September. And I got on that stage and I was like, whoa, like I didn't pace or anything. Like I stand there. You've seen my act. I stand there, center, deliver to the left, deliver to the right, punch in the middle. And that was a big stage. I'm like, I am just going to stand here. Like I moved a little bit, but I wasn't like. So then this happened. So to go from like smaller rooms like Blue, which we love, to go from like the
Blue is great.
I got off work so late last night. I'm sorry I missed it, but
Great.
To go from a stage like that to like, oh shit, like Foreigner and Journey are coming next month on this stage. This is the real fucking. I mean, for lack of a better word, this is the real fucking deal. Better come correct.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I love about the Funniest. That was one of the first things I saw when I opened up Instagram, was a targeted ad for funniest person in New England at Aura, and I was like, cool. There's a scene, and like that's what kind of started digging, which led to me finding you. And it's also very
Diamond
cool.
in the rough over here.
Yeah. It's also like really cool though that you are getting that opportunity, because it's like good, bad, or indifferent, like you're gonna learn on that stage, and you're gonna learn a lot on that stage, especially because, you know, that's one thing that I learned on my first Kill Tony appearance was timing. Like I at that point had been grinding at open mics, whereas mostly comedians, and there's no applause break, so I didn't even really build it into my routine. Or I'm just like, I'm just gonna go
shoot. Yep.
Yeah.
What am I saying next?
Yeah. And then like when I go back and looked at the performance, I realized like, oh shit, like I was stepping on my own punch, like my own laughter. Like, and I'm like, I had to let that air out. Like, but again, it's like literally warming up at a shitty mic with 5 people and then going there, and then it's like, oh, but getting that experience, learning that, taking that forward, and it's how you gotta got it. It's one of those. It's really on the job training. You have to be in that position to really like see like, oh, this is what they were talking about on that podcast.
Now, tell the story, if you don't mind, telling the story of the first time your name got pulled, because you've done it twice. So the first
Yeah.
time you got pulled and went on stage.
So the first time I got pulled and went on stage was episode 655, and it was the Tom Green.
So it's like almost 100 episodes later.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like 2 years later.
Yes,
Yeah,
literally
fuck.
almost 2 years later. Yeah, but it was Tom Green
Dedication.
and Adam Gray as himself, and I was the first bucket pull of the night. And the thing is, after 11 months and 3 weeks, I really had started to question a lot of things about reality. Like, especially, like, I was starting to wonder, like, am I blacklisted? Like, did I miss my call one time and I didn't even know? Like, like, did I do something? Like, it just, but, I'd always have to remind myself, like, dude, there's like 200 people in the bucket. Like, you don't have.
It's essentially a crapshoot.
Yeah, and it's like I don't really have the best of luck. I mean, I kind of used it all in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, so I don't play the lottery. Like, kill Tony in Afghanistan. That's my 2 uses of luck right there. Like, I'm kind of on a shortage, so I just have to remind myself and just knock it down. But I really was starting to wonder, because it's like I'm not getting on the mothership open mic. I'm not getting on Kill Tony, and I'm just like, who did I piss off? And it was one of those nights I'd come screaming in straight from work, barely made it to the sign up. I was one of the last people to sign up. And I gave Christy her pack of cigarettes. Shout out Christy Got Cameras on Instagram. One of the producers on the show. She was actually the first person to learn my name in Austin,
That's
Texas.
cool.
She's literally
That's been a cool feeling.
She's the sweetest human on the planet. She's one of the best people. And Tony has a very good crew of people around him. And so from the time I started, she was running the sign up, and she would have the list and make sure people were signing their releases and everything. So, I would come in and give her a pack of cigarettes, especially like when I'd come in like last, I'd be like, hey, sorry. She's like, okay, you're the last one, Brendan. And I'm like, yeah. And it was one of those nights. It was literally like one of those nights. I'd come in, I was scorching hot off work. I hadn't had time to really get myself transitioned.
Yep.
I was literally walked to the store to get my soda, and I hadn't even got my Rapalo slice of pizza yet. I was completely discombobulated. Walking back.
So like your routine was messed up, and it happened that night.
Yes, it was
That's
not.
awesome.
Yeah, it was like such an atypical night. But in my mind, I was like, whatever. I'm not gonna get pulled anyway. Like, I'm just gonna show up and be there and have a good time and network.
have fun with it.
It's a good time. Like, just and I'm just in my head, and I'm like walking back, and like literally within like 2 minutes of like I was crossing the street, and like I heard Brendan Mahany, and I was like, and everyone's like popped across the street, and then everyone runs out looking for me, and I'm like at the crosswalk, and they're like, he's outside, and I'm like, I'm coming. Do I mean? Wait here. Or do I,
They're like, get the fuck over here.
Fuck, what? And so like Colt came and got me, and he's like, and Colt is the best. He gets you, and he's like, okay, take a deep breath, calm down. You got your minute? You ready? Okay, cool. Well, you got plenty of time. We're just gonna walk back here, just catch your breath, focus on what you got to do, and we're gonna get you through the back door, and they'll take care of you backstage. And I'm like, cool, man, thanks. Like, I just kind of started like getting to know Colt on a slightly personal level at that point, and so that was really nice. And luckily, I always would, every Monday, the first thing I would do is I would sit down and I would get in a group of loud people, and I would start writing my minute from memory while still engaging in conversation. And then it'd be like,
It's a good
okay,
exercise.
yeah,
You're distracted.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like if I can write down my minute and without messing it up, it's like, okay, it's in there. It's kind of like my final check. And then I always write myself a little memo at the bottom, a little mantra or pep talk or whatever. And so, I was like, I got my notes. Yeah, I'm good. He's like, okay, cool. Went in the back. And then you meet your first security checkpoint. And that's where you got to drop everything, like empty your pockets, empty your phone. Like you can take your notes or any notebook you have, but no electronics, no
Yeah.
smartwatches, nothing like that. And same rules as if you're going to be an audience member. They put everything in yonder bags. So
You know what? Not to interrupt, but with like you said, smartwatch, and I noticed, so it's kind of like a cheat code. Like some people put a 5-minute timer on their smartwatch, and like when I did something, I was like, I don't want to go over, and one of the comics was like, well, do you want to borrow my smartwatch? You can time it for you, and I was like, you cheat, motherfucker! Like, no, I'm trying to go off an internal clock. Like, I'm not trying to get into that habit because you need to have that. All right, I'm at my 4 minutes. Let me wrap this up. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah,
No,
take
no.
your stuff for the underbag.
yeah, and I mean, and so they, and then they wand you for weapons and everything, and then
Make sure Cam's got his rocks and
yeah, yeah, any deliveries you have, you drop them off there, and then you go back, and then I happened to that was the second week that Heidi was working, and so I walked in, and I recognized her from the New Year's Eve show. Obviously, kind of hard to forget. You've got some real nice tits there. I'm just saying, they're real nice. And and so but she was wearing like some like regular clothes, kind of.
Well, it wasn't New Year's Eve. She wasn't bringing out the New Year.
Yeah, and so it was like, am I tripping right now? Like that what and okay, and then Aya was there, and she was like, "Good luck." This is another producer on the show, and Yoni's obviously out in the crowd getting the shooting the live cam footage. He's the guy in the audience actually shooting everything. And so but the whole crew is like backstage, and then they after you get security checkpointed in, there's a guy who comes and gets you. And then they lead you up to the backstage area, and it's up some stairs, and you have a long hallway. And then there's another. It looks like there's stairs going down, and I was okay until I realized that like the stairs going down, that was the stairs that have it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
At the mothership, yeah.
Yeah, where all the pictures are taken, and it's like I was just kind of like, I walked up, I kind of looked over the edge, and I was like, oh, and that's where it really hit me. Like, yeah, I'm at the mothership. I am standing directly behind the curtain. Casey Rocket is on stage right now. He was still wrapping up his minute. And they gave me the stool. They're like, you need a water, like anything you need, the space is yours. And you kind of get a briefing. They say, go up there. Your mark is on the floor. Stand on your mark. Move the microphone. Stand on your mark. Do your jokes. And when it comes to interview, don't try to overtalk them. Their mic is louder than you.
Yeah.
In the interview, don't be funny. Just answer the questions. Let them be funny. That's their job. And
so much behind it.
Yeah, and like just be honest. And again, I love you, dude. I'm not, but it's like it was kind of like for me, it was kind of like the worst thing. Like don't tell me to like not be funny. Like, and what he was trying to say is like don't do bits.
Yeah, don't over. Yeah.
Like he's not saying like don't be funny, but the words "don't be funny" kind of got stuck in my head.
Like it's a comedy show, dude.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing. So he got me a water, and I'm sitting on the stool, and Heidi kind of peeked around the corner and was like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Holy shit!" I'm sitting on a stool. The whole shebang is right on the other side of that really nifty curtain, and I can hear everything. I know Deep Madness's microphone is right there, and I have very loud, raucous laughter. So I'm listening to Casey Rocket.
Cover your
Yes,
mouth.
exactly. I'm trying to muzzle myself while stare at my notes, and he's absolutely destroying. And now we've moved to the interview portion where he's talking about how his dad was on Deadliest Catch and was killed by a crab morph of Bobby Monahan, and oh my god. And I'm literally at that point, at the very bottom, my little note to self was relax. You've observed the 7 Ps. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
You'll have to write that down for me later.
Yeah. It's like, this is your night. Take it in. Have fun. And I was like, cool, because that's like exactly what I needed to hear at that moment. Because at that moment, I was like, yeah, I'm right. Like, I've practiced this minute a bajillion times. I don't need my notes. Like, I just need to be in this moment, be present, and go do what I know I can do.
That I've been go do what I'm here to do. Like,
This is what I've trained
this
for.
is what you've been working
since
for.
episode 250 or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then once I said that, I just kind of sat on the stool, sipped my water, enjoyed the show with everybody else, and then I heard my name, and they come up, they get the curtain ready, like, you ready to go, and they're like, okay, so when I open this curtain, you know what
There
to
you
do.
go.
Then, wait for your name, and then because Casey's coming off, so he's like, as soon as you hear your name, just boom. So he opens the curtain. Out comes Casey. Give him a dap. I'm still laughing. I'm like, dude, you killed me. Great
Yeah.
job.
Fuck yeah.
And he's like, thanks, bro. Get him. And I was like, hell yeah. And oh, I forgot to mention, as I was going in the back door, Hans Kim was coming in.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is Hans Kim. This is Hans Kim. And he's like, hey, what's up, buddy? And I was like, dude, what's up, man? And he's like, are you going on? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, go kill him, man. And I was like, hell yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Like, I had Hans Kim, and then I had, I got a dap from the crab man himself, Casey Rocket. And I was just like, yeah, like at that moment, I was like, I'm fucking here, dude. And then
It's like everything you've worked so hard for.
yeah.
Like in the 11 months you've been trying to do that, and you're like, I'm fucking here.
Yeah.
Now, when you go through that curtain, is it like a whoosh, or like were you present in the moment?
Oh yeah, it was like, let's just say, like, I'm really glad I've been in a firefight before, like,
Okay.
because the tricks you learn getting shot at are very helpful in comedy, because like I learned how to kind of channel my adrenaline into, like, instead of like, oh, I'm scared, like, into like, let's do this, like,
Yeah,
pump
I can
energy.
see that.
And so, like, when he pulled the curtain back, and then the lights just are coming through, and you hear the crowd, and you hear uninterrupted minute from Brendan Mahany. Brendan Mahany, everybody. And then it's like, you duck, you step up, the lights hit you. Michael Gonzalez is on the drums right there. D Madness on the bass right there beside you. The table's right there. I was able to tell who the guests were before I went out, and so at that moment, I was just like, let's fucking show them what I got.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I just went out there, hit my mark, moved the microphone, kind of looked at the table, and then did my thing, and and that, again, another great learning moment. I had been kind of wondering about the the lineup on my jokes, and I'd kind of been questioning myself, and then literally as I told my jokes, I realized like, oh yeah, I did that wrong. I did that wrong because my first couple jokes were like shit on the audience, and then I shit on myself. It's like, oh, dude, always shit on yourself before you shit on the
Get
audience.
them on your side, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, but I'm like, and that's all I could think of for like the rest of my time, and then until I got to the very end, and then it was like, you got time, remember the tag, who tanks for the kids, and boom, sent it, and
Fuck yeah.
honestly, it's I think it kind of went how I had envisioned it. I kind of expected that I was gonna be kind of a slow build, and then but I knew I'd have them at the end. And the biggest thing is like, um, uh, all the nights that I had done those mics where it was just comedians, and my name got called, and everybody would go out for a smoke break, and I'm in there by myself doing my material, and I'm like Bane, dude. Like, you've adopted the doctors. I was born in it.
Yeah.
So like when I've told my first couple jokes and nothing happened, like, and that's another thing. Like, because if I had done that same setup on Gary Clark Jr. episode, I would have freaked out. By joke 2, nothing, like crickets, I would have been like, this is funny. I would have abandoned the plan. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, another Sunday at Dig Pub. All right.
So you had, I mean, it's kind of, you were prepped, like you said, the 7 Ps. So when you did it with Gary Clark and they were looking for a female, you didn't go. And then you waited the 11 months. And then you got picked for the first time. So it's like you had an extra year to kind of like prep yourself for it.
Yeah.
So it kind of like works out. I mean, not saying you wouldn't have killed it at the first one, but it's like everything kind of aligns.
No, yeah, it really did. It really did. Like, I would have been horrible because, and that was the thing too. It's like, I really, when I first started, like, I wanted to be one of those people that, like, my first time was on Kill Tony, and then after just getting my name pulled, that's when I realized, like, oh, that was so stupid.
That was a bad plan.
Was so dumb. Look, I'm telling everybody who's out there, I'm telling you right now, that is the worst idea you've ever had. You are so stupid for even thinking that, and you should smack yourself and go work on a real fucking minute and write it out and tell it to people who are not your friends. Stand on the corner. Do whatever, but do not let your first... Okay, some people, there is genius. You got to make room for genius.
Yeah, like Carlos Mencia.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not on that level. You're probably not either. I'm just saying, I love you all. You're beautiful people, but don't take my sport.
You want to come correct.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too. It's like I really realized, like, oh, this is like, even because I was coming as a fan at first. And I was like, I just want to be a part of the show. I think it'll be cool to be roasted, even though I know I'm going to suck. I don't care. It's my first time. But then, like, it's like you're hanging out with guys who have done this for years, and this is their spot, and they've been signing up for 11 months too. And, I didn't want to be one of those people that's just taking something from somebody. And I was like, this needs to be like, when I get on, like, that's going to be the start. Like, it won't be my first time, but it'll be like the first, like, real start. Like, that's when and so I kind of, in my mind, I really started, gearing myself, like, what does that look like? What do I want to do with the opportunity? Like, and envisioning kind of, and I'm still kind of, working on finding my voice and who I am as a comedian and working on material. And, I was very young, even younger then at the time in comedy. So, like, interestingly enough, after our last podcast, you asked me what was the first joke I told on stage.
Yeah.
This morning, I went through the archives.
Oh, you went through the manifestos? We talked about that.
It was right after the manifestos, bro. Oh, so I went back and I didn't actually record the actual set, which is good because I remember enough just by listening to my practice recording. Yeah, like I hadn't yet learned how to front load material. I was like trying to like build people up to a pop, and one thing I really learned in Kill Tony and in comedy in general, like, you know, hit him with something in the beginning, and then they'll follow you with your stupid bullshit, and then hit him with something at the end. You know what I mean? Like, don't do a lot of meandering preamble.
Yeah.
Just get straight, especially when you only have a minute. Like, you don't have time for lead up and intro. It's like you
Set
have
up,
to,
punch. Set
yeah,
up, punch.
because the way they look at it is a good set on Kill Tony is like 6 to 8 pops in a minute. So you're looking at like sub 10 seconds per joke. So or you can go the kind of the Hans Kim approach, and then just kind of have a little bit of a build up, and then a series of tags that boom, 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 boom builds.
That's what I've been going through. I've been going through my yellow notebook, which I love. I'm gonna be so mad when that's filled. But I've been going through and crossing outlines and editing. Like, I mean, you should be doing that. But I'm going back to like some of mine that I think, like the 5 that I did for New England's Funniest. Like, that took me a year and a half to build that 5, and I'm going back. I'm like, okay, I can trim this because I think I'm more of a storyteller, but I'm learning and focusing now on like turns. Because you were there at Cheese when I had the notebook with me, and then the one comic Danny got up and was like, "Jesus, Sean, throw a turn in there." Like, no, it sounds like you're an alcoholic whose phone died. I was like, "Fuck you, dude." Like,
This is my life
yeah,
here.
yeah.
There is no turn
The-
all the way. Yeah.
The power went out, and I have a pen. Like, that was like that 5 minutes. I'm like, Zach, go pee. I got this. Like, oh fuck.
No, yeah. Well, and these are all things you learn. And again, OJT, right? It's like, and but I listened to it, and the thing is, it's like I had good jokes, but my setup was all wrong.
What was the first joke?
My first joke was that well, I did a few. It was I love guns was the premise, and big shocker. I know I look like I spend my days chasing down unopened foil packs of School Shooter, the collectible card game. Got to catch them all. You've activated my trap card. Like, so stupid. So stupid. Like,
But in your head, you're like, "This is genius.
yeah.
I'm the next Kinnison."
Like, everybody plays collectible trading card games. Like, oh my god, yeah. So and then so that was and then I had a couple self-deprecating jokes in there. I look like I know I look like John Wick, the final chapter. John Sick, the battle with diabetes.
John Thick.
like, and that, so I'm like, that's not bad. And then so then I went on to a rambling setup for I love guns so much. Taking me to a pawn shop is like taking a white chick to a last chance pit bull rescue.
Premise.
Yeah, like I start hearing the Sarah McLaughlin music in my head, and like, these are all good guns. They're just looking for a good home. Sure, a few of them might be hot and missing a serial number or two, but all they need is a responsible owner and a good home. And it's like,
I love it. That Gleb would love that.
So yeah, and then let me think. What was and it was gun jokes. It was like 3 minutes of like, yeah, I'm a creepy gun guy, and I collect trading card games about school shooters.
And then you finished your set, and the host was like, "Give it up for that guy. He's probably on a watch list somewhere."
Yeah, he's like, well, that sucks less than I thought it would, but still pretty sucked. Like, so and that was at that period I hadn't started recording like all my sets yet, which was a mistake. It was a horrible mistake, and because like even in trying to deliver that stuff, I messed up so much stuff and went wrong turns with it and discombobulated it, and it ended up a lot of it ended up being a lot funnier than how I wrote it, thank God. But it still was not good. It was not good. I think I could go back and rewrite it now and probably make it work. It's definitely revisitable,
Yeah, there's
but
premises there.
yeah, it was like, I was just not, I and that's when I kind of. But the whole thing about Kill Tony is like, I've always kind of taken it as like my own little TED talk. Like if you take I was in the army, so I'm used to people yelling at me and talking shit, especially in a constructively criticizing way.
Yeah.
And so I always looked at it as like, if you take the burn away, like just look at what he's actually saying. Like he's telling you, you could have been funnier if you just set your joke up better, or if you had front loaded your material, or maybe just not said that, like maybe actually wrote something, like and he's making it funny off people that suck, but it's like you can learn from both the people who do good and the people who do bad. Like, and especially when there's great guests like Roseanne Barr, and she's just like,
Yeah, you were saying that last week.
yeah, she's just like, I mean, I already grew up with her as my mom, like as a latchkey child in the '90s. It's like my mom's like, I'm putting on Roseanne, I'll be back. Lasagna's in the oven.
Snowflake.
Watch your brother. Like, and we're watching Roseanne or whatever, and so like seeing her and like be an actual like kind of comedic godmother to young comedians, like I think that's a really cool part of the show, and I was really stoked for that to kind of happen for me. I thought on my first appearance when we got to the interview, that's not what happened. And as you might have remembered, we discussed earlier about not being funny, and so I kind of got in my head on the interview, and so every time I was asked a question, I was like, oh, I can joke on that, and I was like, no, don't be funny, and I'm like, well, it's not a bit, and I'm like,
It's natural. It's a
yeah,
conversation.
and
like this is. Yeah.
and I was just so like.
Yes, Mr. Hinchcliffe. I did graduate college. Like.
Yeah, I was tight in the interview, and which was interesting because I kind of thought I was going to be tighter in my minute and then looser in the interview. Like I was like, ooh, that's off my no, because now you've entered the main phase of the game because there's two parts. You've got your 1 minute, and then you got like a 10-minute interview or 9-minute interview. And depending on how well that goes.
Yep.
And so, at that particular juncture in time, Tom Green and Adam Ray had a great time with me. I had a great time with them. It was an awesome experience. I kind of got the general feeling like Tony was not really smelling what I was stepping in. So I was a little disheartened there at first, but at the end of the interview, he tossed me a little joke book.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
You want to show what that looks like?
well, this is my big.
Oh, that's
joke
the big
book.
one?
Yeah, we'll get to that next. So my little joke book ended up being my totem there, and I would carry that with me everywhere, every mic, every show I did, like everything. And then, so especially because it was at the mothership. Because that's the biggest thing. Like the show Kill Tony, yeah, that's awesome. Like, and then it's at the mothership, and Joe Rogan, Ron White, and whoever are watching in the green room, and
Yeah.
it's like,
The psychology behind that.
yeah,
You're like,
it's like just before you're just like, whoo, and it's like you do not want to bomb here. Like this is where you go to
This is
be.
the Olympics.
Yes. This is you're coming off the bench, kid. This is your Rudy moment. You know what I mean? Go out there and tackle that fucker.
Yeah.
Like, and so yeah, and like I took that little joke book as that. Like I was so happy, like, because I mean, and the thing is, it's like he said, keep writing, come back, like don't stop, and I'm like, that in itself right there was good enough for me. I got a little joke book. It means, hey, Tony's fucking with me. I mean, I know I didn't do great, but it's like I did good and I did good, and that's
And you have that on your, for lack of a better word, charm bracelet now, and you have that experience, and you like going back. I apologize. I'm trying to word it correctly. Going back to like talking about your first set you had, and then like you grinded and you had your boots on the ground, and then you had that moment where, like you said, here I am at the comedy mothership, looking down the stairs where all the dude. Fuck yeah, bro. I'm like hyped just like listening. Like I'm so, and you're so good. You're so good at telling a story. Like you're really like captivating about it, and like all the little details about it too, like adding up. It's awesome to have you back, man. This is fucking fun.
Well, I appreciate it. It's awesome. It's awesome to be back, and I mean, it's cool. Like I really appreciate the opportunity to share the experience because I know there's a lot of people out there that are looking to do the same thing. So hopefully, maybe you can like hear a little bit of that and like get a little better understanding of what it was like for me, and maybe your first appearance will be a little bit better too. Because we can grow as a community, and that's the craziest thing is like since I've been in Maine, like almost everywhere I've been, I've introduced myself as a comedian, and people are like, "Oh, you're a comedian from Austin. You been on Kill Tony yet?" And it's like, "Yeah, twice." And it's like, "Oh shit, really?"
Yeah,
Like,
they're like rolling their eyes. They're like, oh my god, here, welcome to Amato's. Let me give you.
yeah, like I mean, like it's been really cool. Like, and
You're taking it in stride, though.
yeah. I mean, exactly, because it's it's not here. Like, and that's the thing. It's like it's in Austin. Like, yeah, like oh yeah, everybody's going to kill them. Like it's not really like such a big thing. So it is really cool to like travel outside to other scenes and be like, okay, cool. It's people are watching it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. Like it is a great show, and I think it's great. It's entertaining. Like I said, you can learn a lot and just get exposed to a bunch of new comedians and like up and covered like in the guests and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Ari Matty and whomever might be, randomly your secret guest of the week. Because that's the other thing too is like now that it's outside at the mothership and we're outside, like nobody knows who the guest is.
Yeah, because they've probably been there since noon, chilling or something, or they're coming in the back.
And every once in a while, they'll walk in like late, but usually it's just like a black Cadillac pulling up to the back of the alley and can't see nothing. Like the whole security team's out there. I mean, dude, it's like it's like White House security out there. Like, do not fuck around. You will find out. But they and so when the first person comes back, that's when it's like, okay, who's the guest? Because I mean, Cole, he's our friend, and he's but he's like he's on the show. Like he's not gonna tell you unless you get picked. He'll tell you, while you're going up, but he's not gonna.
So you go up there and you're like, holy shit, it's Tom Green. Like,
yeah. Well, and I was sitting backstage, and Billy Strings on Instagram, or I said that wrong. Billy Strings is somebody else, I think.
He's a guitarist.
That's a guitarist guy.
Yeah.
But no, it's Billy. he plays guitar, and he's the guy behind the curtain. Where was I going with that?
You get on stage, you're like, oh my god, Tom Green's on my left.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Billy was behind the curtain. He and I was like, is that Adam Ray? And he's like, yeah, and Tom Green. And I'm like, oh. Cool.
You're telling me Undercutter's Pizza is. I love that sketch, dude.
And I'm like, well, the first thing that pops into my head is, Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Yeah.
Daddy, would you like some sausages? And I'm like, oh my god. And I mean, again, like, where else is somebody at my level going to get an opportunity to interact with like Tom Green, who I grew up? I mean, he's only a couple of years older than me, but he was one of the people I'd watch and be like, man, how do I do that?
Yep.
And it's like now here I'm doing it, and he's the guest, and Adam Ray is always a fantastic guest. He's a fantastic person and an awesome comedian, and I think Tony and Tom did a pretty good job of roasting me pretty good, and but at the end there, Adam Ray was like, well, you've got great stage presence. You know, you've only been doing this like 9 months. You said, like, yeah, you've got great stage presence, dude.
Fuck
Like,
yeah.
keep it up. And I'm like, boom, like that locked in my head. And that was I focused on the good stuff and went out with my head held high and. All my friends like when I came out, they thought I had a big joke book because I was just like and then I got up and they were like, "Oh, you got a little one?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Well, how did it go?" And I'm like, "It was awesome."
I got a little book. Like,
and they're like, "Okay," because there's levels to this shit, guys. There's levels to this shit.
It's a process.
All my
constant.
friends have big joke books, and it's like I was literally the last person in my little friend group to get on. So I was so happy just to finally be like, hey, I've been on too, joke book, cream on the cake, or, icing on the cake, man. Like, that was awesome.
Fuck yeah.
And then, so it's like, okay, cool. Like, well, there's that minute. And the thing I learned, and something else I can pass on, is like, I really wanted to talk about my military experience and kind of what I went through and stuff in Afghanistan in my interview. But I in the interest of like the minute and the interview, I kind of wanted to do like non-military related jokes and then bring up my military service in the interview. So it's kind of like boom, boom. And what I learned is like if there's something you'd like to talk about in an interview, make it part of your minute. Because they will talk about what is in your minute.
Yeah.
Like that will be the main topic of discussion. I mean, unless it's like I had a 3-way with my grandma or something like that, yeah, we'll talk about that. But like the main focus, like Tony's there, he's taking notes. Like during your minute, while you're saying things, he's like sitting there taking notes and just writing things out. And
Such a genius show.
yeah, and and that's what I learned, and I was like, okay, next time, like I did okay. I got a little joke book. I'm coming back, and next time I'm just gonna talk about what I want to talk about in the interview in my minute, and then we'll see how that goes. And then kept signing up, and then the show went to L.A. and my buddy Jared Nathan, Golden Ticket winner.
What's a golden ticket winner?
Golden ticket winner is somebody who kills it so much that they can come back whenever they want to and come on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like Rick Diaz is a golden ticket winner. Jared Nathan, Drew Niggins, like kind of skipped that and went to regular, but it's kind of like one of those things. And Martin Phillips, golden ticket winner. So basically, whenever you have the freedom, like whenever you feel like you've got a new minute that's ready to go, you can come back and throw it on. And so Jared, because he lives in Toronto, he can't like come down that often. So when they announced LA, I told everybody, I was like, dude, HEB at New Year's was amazing. That was a great show. And Tony said at the New Year's Eve show at HEB Arena, like he set us all, the comedian section was stage left.
Okay.
So we could see behind the curtain, we could see down everything that was going on backstage, everything, the whole, how the sausage is being made. And then,
well, he's a comic too, so he gets it. So he's like, this will be fucking cool for everybody. Yeah.
Yes, I really feel that was kind of his Christmas present to everybody who signs up, because it's like he knows we're sitting across the street. We don't get to be part of the show anymore, like at Vulcan.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? Here you go. You get your own section. You'll be right there. And as far as like audience members, might not have been like the best seats, but for us,
yeah,
it was the best. Like we get to see everything that was going on. And so when they said we're going to LA, I was like, guys, we gotta go. And the next day, my buddy Jared Nathan was like, hey man, you want to go to LA? And I'm like, say no more. So yeah, picked him. When the time came, picked him up at the airport. I called ahead, booked us a couple shows on the way, and warm up, test a few new markets, and drove to LA. And Jared was on night 1 at the Kia Forum, which was like 18,000 people or some shit like that. It was 16,000. It was huge. And again, the comics were stage left. Great seating, except the stage monitors weren't working so great. So it was hard for people on stage to hear what was going on. And the comic, we couldn't hear anything. The night 1, it was like, this isn't good. And then that Sunday was the YouTube theater, 8,000 people. And that's the night that I got pulled. And that was a magical night.
I hate to cut you off. You want to come back before you leave? Because you leave, what, the 12th?
Yeah.
Because I gotta get ready. We can pick a date because I still have to get ready. I'm bringing my grandmother mulligans tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to get ready. We got like an hour to get to that mic. But we'll pause there.
Yeah.
And then
round 3, fight.
Exactly. Well, I think that's the perfect place to stop because
Yeah.
about night 1 and then going into, because how many people are at YouTube? It was 18,000?
8,000.
8,000.
Smaller venue, but it was actual theater. So it was like
Fuck
designed for that shit.
Well, I am off for the next 6 days. I have nothing to do but tell jokes because of the festival. So this has been My Wife's Asleep. I'm your host, Sean Boucher. We'll have him back later on in the week. This is Brendan Mahany, everybody. We'll see you in a couple days, brother.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course.